Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another Women of Horror Spotlight. Today I have with us, she's an actress, and she's in a movie that's going to be out soon. It's called Texas Nightmare. By the way, stick to the end of this interview, and we're going to have the trailer to Texas Nightmare. I have with us Sadie Katz. Sadie, welcome to the Horror Realm.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Now, listen, so tell us a little bit about Texas Nightmare.
You know what? So it's directed by Michael Marino. He is also the producer on it, as well as it's so funny. I'm so bad because I'm going to butcher our EP's name. He's also a fabulous actor in this, Randy Charach. How do I not know this? And I've done a couple films for him. He's also the producer on it. Michael Marino wrote this, and I think it's a very tribute a little bit. I mean, this is before Lynch passed away, but it's very kind of weird and that same sort of style as David Lynch, where it's like, what the hell is going on? But it has like a creep factor. And Michael Marino is a big fan of David Lynch. And, you know, when you're doing indie films, one of the things that Randy and Michael were like, let's do something experimental and kind of cool. It's about a writer, myself, a novelist who is due on a book, and she's holed up in a cabin somewhere in Texas. And the thing is, my character has a severe drinking problem. So she's trying to balance the fact that this book is due, and she wants to get the bottom of her glass. So, and then unbeknownst to her, she's in a town that's a bit of a cult, and we have our cult leader, Felissa Rose, who, it's funny because everyone says sleepaway camp because that's, you know, what we know her from. But she's been in like a billion movies, and right now she's in A Hard Place.
Yes, and Jay Horton on recently, and we talked about it.
Yeah, he's the best. She is so brilliant in this movie, in A Hard Place. Her performance is absolutely perfect. I completely love it. And she's equally as brilliant in Texas Nightmare. And I'm gonna throw names just so I don't fuck it up. A good friend of mine, Eva Hamilton. Have you had her on the show?
No.
She's such a sex pot. Well, she's fantastic.
I need to have one.
Yeah, you do. She's like, and here's the problem. She's such a great actress, and she's so naturally sexy. So she's like one of those people that you're talking to, and she just exudes it, and then she's really nice. I'd kill her, but I love her too much, you know?
Eva, hit me up. I'll love to have you on.
Yeah, Eva Hamilton. And then James Pratt is kind of I'm just going to say my benefactor and why I'm staying at this cabin. And if you know Lou Temple, he's fantastic. So I got to work with all these really, you know, fun actors who are kind of in the genre. It's weird because we've all kind of worked together at different times, which is what's great about the horror community is like most of the time when we get together, I'm like, I've like either killed you or been killed by you.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome because I mean, you know, I've been in the indie horror community for about a year and a half. It's long I have my channel, and like I agree, like it is such a small knit community. Like everybody knows everybody, everybody helps each other out. And it's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because sometimes, like, you know, I had a baby a couple of years ago, so I wasn't going to as many screenings or anything. And it was weird because at first I was like, oh, great, I don't have to, like, it's sort of like you're in high school a little bit. You see everyone all the time. And then I realized in LA, like, what a gift it is because then like I finally went to a friend's screening and I ran into everyone and I was like, oh my God, I miss everyone. And, you know, it's fun because like most people don't get to know as many people that are actually on their social media. So I think Facebook and Instagram kind of extends those relationships. So there's no like, it feels like you see everyone every day. I hate to say high school, but I enjoyed high school. So I feel sometimes the same way. Like I get to have my little cliques and my little relationships, and it's nice. Especially, are you in Los Angeles?
I'm in Baltimore, Maryland, so
Oh wow,
I'm on the other side of the country. But
yeah.
once again, because of social media and Facebook, I've met so many friends in the indie community that live all across the world, and I mean, and it's absolutely amazing. Sadie, you seem like a nice lady. You don't seem like an alcoholic to me. So, how do you get into the mood and the mindset of an alcoholic for this role?
Well, I do like to drink. Like anyone who knows me will be like, Sadie's, I've been in my life at different times a bit of a party girl. So, I mean, I've always been like, I'm Irish, dude. It's like in my blood. However, this was kind of difficult for me. And I realized that the problem is I like to drink and have fun. And so, I'm not someone who like over drinks at home or by myself, and there's nothing like dark tied to it. So if I'm out with friends, I'm like, and well, now I'm getting older, so I have a couple of glasses of wine. Other times I've enjoyed, margaritas and everything. I think the hard thing is playing someone that's how they deal with their demons. So it's not rooted in like, love of the day, which is kind of what was fun for me at the beginning. Was I think at least the stage of alcoholism my character was, I still thought like, oh, I'm having a glass of wine to watch the sunset and to write. And then as it gets, I don't know, messy, sloppy, I think you have to let yourself go to like a dark place and not worry so much about feeling, wasted or drunk. I mean, that's an actor trick, right? Is like
Yeah.
how to play drunk in that was my big fear. I kept saying to the director and even like our DP, Matt Lill, I'm like, guys, like I want to make sure that I'm not playing drunk. But you can fuck your head up enough to, think that you're drunk if you're like going through the motion. So I'm drinking grape juice and I don't know. There's something really fun to me about being possessed or playing drunk because I'm a pretender. So I like try to fuck with my brain. Like I'm there, I there's something fun about that. It was a little twisted because it was darker, and it's one of the characters that I was like, oh, I'm kind of glad. When I was done, I was like, wow, you look at drinking a little bit different afterwards.
Yeah, because I mean, I played, I've been in a couple small roles in movies, and one time I had to play asshole, and I was thinking in my mind like, who is my asshole character going to look like? And like I remember a guy who I grew up with, Ryan, and I was like, Ryan was the biggest fucking asshole, so I just imitated everything that he would say and he would do. Is that something that you do? Like, is there someone that was in your life that was alcoholic or drunk, and you're like, oh my goodness, this is what Sarah would do. This is how Sarah acts.
Oh, you know what? That's interesting. I think I'm sort of from I guess there's some characters you like pick up things. I'm kind of from the I don't want to say method, but I'm a little Eric Morris, a little Meisner. So most of the time I sort of I journal as my character, and I find I know I'm going to get really arty farty here, but I try to find that aspect of me. So I find like I look at a character and then I start thinking, what does Miss Dubois do? Like, how does she wake up in the morning? What does she eat? Who was her mom? Who was her dad? And I create fake memories. This is very Meisner, right? So I create like some core trigger memories. And I think the memories are sometimes stories that I take from other people, or, I'm trying to think, like I did this character once who, was constantly, I feel like I try to find little mannerisms that make that character come out to me, whether it's like clicking my nails or like, you know, taking maybe the ends of my hair, something like physical. And then that I try to, this sounds so funny. I try to have that attached to the memories that I've created. And that to me gives like, then when my character's sad, I feel like I can get into the real character sadness because I've already hyped myself up to play, you know, this person. I have a lot of, it's great that you were like, how can I find the asshole in me? Maybe I just play a lot of fucked up characters and I have lots of things to pull from. As I'm saying this, I'm like, I guess that like I've had a weird life because I started off very innocent in my life and being a Jehovah's Witness, and then
Oh, wow.
kind of went crazy. So I do feel a little bit like sometimes I just go through my weird Rolodex of my life, my file. I'm like, okay, remember that breakup when you were a disgusting drunk? Here you go. And I pull that out and I, reboot that somewhere in me. And then I just have fun with it, and then I try to concentrate on my other actor. So whatever they give me, I just sort of, I guess.
You just bounce off of them.
Yeah. But I know I'm trying to think, is that like, I'm being a bad actor right now, but I don't know. What you're talking about is very much like is it Stella Adler? It's a technique, and some people do it really well.
Yeah. I just, because I'm a good people watcher. I don't know about you, but when I'm out somewhere, I love watching people and then like just watching their mannerism and how they communicate. And then in my brain, I will even start making up stories about that person. Like, what did they do? Are these people on the first, is this couple on the first date? Are they actually married? Oh, I wonder if he's cheating on her. Like, I start making up a whole story about the people. And like, so like, if I was given a role right now, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to use this guy that I saw today because he fits this role perfectly. But I have a question. So, as an actress, listen,
Yeah.
let's say you're playing a fucked up person. You're a deranged killer.
Yeah.
Is it hard to get out of that mindset because you're also a mother? You have a family life. Is it hard to separate the two sometimes?
You know what? I used to really have like, it used to be like really difficult for me. Then I think I just worked a lot and I started to, it sounds so funny, but like I started to kind of bank my feelings a little bit and be excited to do like, what other thing do you get to like, one of the things in acting, I used to call it like a Vesuvius workout, where you get to say like, you go to someone, you say the most awful things you could ever say to them. And you just are so real and raw and, demonic almost. I mean, like most people in their life haven't really screamed from the bottom of their lungs or sobbed, hugely in front of more than one person. I've done it in front of, hundreds of people live in person. And I don't know. I think when I'm driving home from set, sometimes I'm like, oh my God. I'm like talking to myself, Sadie Katz, you're so embarrassing right now. Like, my head's going back and I'm just, I've had other actresses say to me, like, you must be such a mean person inside your heart to do this role. And I'm like, I like to be provocative. So, I think there's something really fun about getting to be so perverse and so you get to break all the rules when you're acting, all the societal rules. So I kind of get off on the power of that. So, I mean, it's hard if you're playing a victim and you're like sobbing and crying. But the fact that I'm using my body like this crazy instrument that I've like taught myself how to find these feelings and bring them up like this. I get a little bit sometimes if my instrument's hot, I get little bit like, let me show you how fucking far I'm gonna go. Let's go. I'm like, let's dance. That's really fun. I mean, and if everything's cooperating, if you're well hydrated and your tears are going, and I try to get my heartbeat to speed up. Like I try to when I like to make believe when I was a kid. So I try to find that feeling, and it's sort of like working out. So when you're done, you just look at everyone in the room and go, thanks guys. Thanks for watching my therapy. And sometimes it's cool if you have a good crew and they're on the journey with you and they're not like trying to, text someone, or then it's dope because they're like, yes, this is going to be good. And it's exciting to them. If you have a crew that's like not that enthusiastic, or they're overworked, sometimes it's a little bit harder because you feel a little judged, like it's hard not to hold back if you're not feeling like everyone around. So, it's a full thing.
So Sadie, you've been doing this for a long time now. But when it comes to indie horror, a lot of the actors and actresses are brand new. This is their first time. What is it like being on a set and you're working with first timers?
Well, I think the key to working with first timers is it depends. If a lot of times if you're working with first timers, they're really nervous, and for all the reasons I was super nervous, and so I just sort of like try to. Well, if they're nervous and I'm playing like a dominant character, I'm the antagonist. I'm like, fuck yeah, this is great. Now I gotta grab them and be like, I'm going, like, don't worry. Like I've had love scenes with these poor guys who've never done a love scene. It's their first movie. And I'm like, listen, my character is supposed to be aggressive. Like, you just keep, look me in the eyes and go on this party with me. Or, like a lot of times I think if they know their lines, if they show up and they don't know their lines, then you're in trouble, because then they're in their head and they're scared. Or it's kind of worse if you work with like an actor who's been around the block a lot and they think they know what they're doing, but they have a way they deliver it and you can't really reach them. That's a harder thing. I feel like if I can get someone to be vulnerable on screen with me, we can do something about it. I can make someone engage with me. It's hard if you work with an actor who isn't going to let you in. Like they're just, they're going to go, oh my God. And that's the only way they're going to say it. That's tough. Vulnerability is fun, right? Like that's fun to see.
Because I've heard like sometimes working with the more experienced actors or the big names, and that a lot of times they come on set and it's all about a paycheck. They're trying to get in. They don't even know the fucking lines. Have some cue cards up. I'm gonna read off it. I'm out. Yeah. And that has to be frustrating too, right?
Yeah, I know there's this thing about like making horror films and it's so hard to get them sold, or you want people to see them, so a lot of times people will stunt cast for like one day. So I'm sure we can think of some of the actors I'm talking about who you see, they come in and they do one day, and like sometimes they don't even look at the script. They're just like there. They don't care. They're not going to promote the movie. they almost suck all the energy. And a lot of times, especially in indie horror or indie film world, they're alcoholics, they're drug addicts. They forgot how lucky they are to have the job they do. And maybe you're looking at someone who had big dreams and think they're beneath what they're doing. And so many times I've looked at directors and been like, it's really a bummer. It's really sad. And then everybody is so excited to meet this actor. And then the actor is just like, shitting on the project, making people feel bad, or basically losing the time because they don't have the lines and they want people to just, write it down. I've seen a very big actor who works all the time. He literally had the lines like this, and he's going, "So, when are you coming over? You're coming tomorrow? Great." And then he'd go, "Say the line, say your line, say your line. All right, see ya." And and then I'll tell you the worst part though. The worst part is the crew and the other cast members on me will go, "Oh my God, they were so good. You were so good." And then I see them on like social media. They're adding them. They're hanging out with them. They're bragging. I'm in this movie. I'm like, you're in this movie with this raging alcoholic who couldn't even stand on set. And you've got a picture with them? That's not me. I'll be nice. But that's not me. I'll be like, I don't fucking want to talk about how bad that actor was. Yeah.
Because I mean, I've heard from numerous filmmakers about an actor whose sister name rhymes with Julia Roberts, but I've heard that he is horrible on set, and like he has cue. He reads off a cue card. He doesn't read the script, and that a physical person can't hold his lines. It has to be hanging up. And I'm like, and the amount of money you're paying him is more than majority of the cast is getting.
Gosh, I have been cast like 5 times to play his wife, and then it hasn't worked out every time for various reasons. I know a lot of positive stories of people like he was willing to come in and do as a favor. I had the feeling that those were probably parts that he didn't have to memorize lines. My guess, like he just made up the lines or something. I've heard good stories about him, but that doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but there's been a couple of indie actors that recently passed away that it was sort of just like, everyone wants to be excited about this actor on set, but it's like, well, the actor is like, basically we're enabling his addiction. Where like this person's coming in and they're, everyone's waiting for him to come out of the bathroom. But, look, if you're getting your financing because Eric Roberts is in your movie, then you have to, you're like, thank you. You let all these people be able to have a job in LA when, and work is scarce. And, so it's a tough thing. I mean, look, even bigger. I did a movie that I wrote, actually with Mark Jones, who's the co-creator of Leprechaun. And we did this movie where Billy Zane was in it. And he was sort of playing like the victim. It was like Scorned. It was a little bit like Misery. We had some Misery references. And like he showed up and just disagreed with the character. And so you had Annalyn McCord, who was brilliant in the movie. She really gives it her all. Another actress, Viva Bianca, who was kind of taking off and then she didn't really like that she was playing this character. They put her, I did not produce this movie, but they put her in the worst, I just wrote it, the worst wig, the worst, wardrobe. And you could tell she was kind of miserable. And then Billy Zane, who decides like the whole movie, he's supposed to be terrified of this woman who has decided to like torture him and fuck with him to, get him back for cheating on her with her best friend. And Billy Zane is just like not going to do it. He's just refusing that. It's like, he thinks it's stupid. Why would he be afraid of this girl? But he took the film. And I'm going to say for fun, $50,000. And this
Holy shit.
Yeah. This was, we're talking like 15 years ago. So $50,000 for a movie that shot in like 4 weeks, 3 weeks. It did well on Stars. I still get residuals. But imagine you're getting $50,000. There's 4 people in the movie, so that's it. Like you're basically, it's really 3 people. And you decide that you just don't agree with the script. And that's the whole movie. So you're the victim, but you've decided that it's not that interesting for you to be a victim. So you're going to argue. You don't really get. I get kind of mad at that. And I've met Billy a bunch of times since, and I really like him. And he's
a nice guy. Yeah,
he has a super strong appeal. I'm sure he has a version of it where maybe something was going on behind the scenes with the other actress or whatever. But those are things that really get me angry because I'm like, some people make $50,000, like don't even make that for their year. So. And you're doing it like playing pretend. Like that's, acting is giving a part of your soul, but it's also like you're playing pretend. Like it's, you should be so grateful. And if you're not, like, then go do something else. Like, but it's a tough thing because these people have been in the business also a long time, and maybe it's hard on their soul after 40 years of doing it.
But I can imagine, for someone like Billy Zane, who he's been in some big movies, from Titanic to he was Panther, and probably made millions of dollars off those movies. To go from that to making $50,000 to be in an indie movie because, like, your Hollywood career is done, and that has to be an ego blow.
Yeah, but what's funny is, so I'm great friends with Michael Pare, who I love, and I when I say great friends, it's like we work together, and every time we work together, I get so excited. And he's someone who, in the 80s was headlining, big movies. He was a big deal, and he loves acting. So I've been in smaller budget movies with him, and he never seems to, like, he's like there before anyone else. He's going over his lines. He's asking other people. Like, I think you have to love acting, and like someone who really loves acting, like they're like, okay, maybe, like, I agreed to do this, but I'm gonna do it to the best of my ability, and maybe have a real shared moment with this other actor, or I don't know. I think you have to have, like, there's a couple actors I know that have the best attitudes, and I've seen them on bigger sets and I've seen them on smaller sets, and they show up going, oh yeah, I get to do this thing today. I get to juggle today. This is fun. I'm juggling. Not that they're not like, oh, why is this happening this way? Or, did anyone paint this wall? Why are we acting in front of a white apartment wall? Like, stuff like that bums me out. But they're also showing up, like, to give 100%. It's kind of embarrassing when you show up with an attitude. It's like you're actually here in the same place we are. So, and we're excited to see you. So, it's a real bummer, but it gets around. Like, people tell everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you're getting a paycheck to do a job. So, like, if you don't want to do the job, then don't take the money.
Yeah. I've been on jobs where I'm like, it's 3 a.m, it's freezing. I'm lying on the floor and I've got like blood and I'm syrupy and it's sticky, and I'm not crazy. I'm like, I don't know how this movie is going to come out. Like, what am I doing? I'm so miserable right now because I'm so cold. But you can't say that you're cold. You know, craft services was kind of trash. And you know what's funny is I always think, well, I could have worked at State Farm Insurance. Nothing's wrong with working at State Farm
Nothing
Insurance,
wrong with it. Yeah.
but you know, like
Yeah.
I could have done that, and that's hard in its own way. So
Mhm.
I'm like, all right, I'm doing this ridiculous thing where maybe I'm in a cold, ice cold lake, at, you know, at nighttime where I'm like, why am I in this lake? Why is this happening right now? I don't like it. I've been cold on set, like so. I don't know, Travis. Would you rather be really hot or really cold?
I would be really hot.
Really, yeah. Like
Yeah.
I've been in the snow, like acting in the snow, like
See,
with
I
no
can't do
clothes
cold
on.
weather.
Yeah,
See, I can't do cold weather. And I live on the East Coast, northern East Coast too, which I should be living in California because y'all have amazing fucking weather there. All right, Sadie, listen, this is the part of the interview. Every once in a while, I do this. I'm going to ask you 3 random horror questions. These are your personal opinion, though.
Okay,
All right, you ready?
I'm gonna try. I don't want it to be revealed how bad I am at trivia and things. Okay,
No, it's not trivia. It's just personal opinion.
okay, I'm
The
ready.
first question: what's one horror movie that everybody loves that you necessarily don't like?
Oh, that's a good one. Probably be one that's like recent, I would think. Hold on, I really like this question actually. Um, that I'm not a huge fan of.
But everybody else seems to love it.
Wow. It's so funny. I'm searching because I tend to like a lot of things. Um, I I want to say like some of the like sometimes I'm not super into like see I can't say I don't love Halloween, okay? Like of course I love Halloween. Um and maybe I would say the Aston Mouth uh, Human Centipede.
Human Centipede, yeah,
Yeah, I like
extreme horror.
yeah, I like the first one. It's like so shocking, you know, and it's gross, and I get it because like a lot of the movies I've been in are like you know they're sort of about the kills, and that's what's gross. Um, I don't know if like that's going to be a movie that I'm going to like turn on as an adult,
Yeah.
as an adult woman at this stage. I think maybe there was another when it first came out. It was so shocking. Then they, you know, the one where they're in the prison.
hmm
I don't know. Those. I mean, look, Midsummer was like cool, but I don't know if there- I don't know if I was as passionate
I
as
love it.
I wanted to be. I know, and so many people loved it. Like, I think I was so sad. So the movie like made me so sad in the beginning, and I
hmm
spent a lot of it being overly upset. My husband's like, "Are you going to be able to watch this? Like, are you okay?" So I'm not saying it wasn't like brilliant, and that lead actress is wonderful, and you know, but I do think I spent a lot of it being really upset. We're like, what is it, Wicker Man? I was
hmm
more like thrilled by Wicker Man in a different way. I sometimes can get too sad. I'm such an emotional person that if a film's too sad, sometimes I get a little distracted by like, you know, but his kid died or but even though I
Yeah.
like acting and things like that, watching them I'm more about the drama and I forget, you know, everything else.
Totally understand. I totally understand. A lot of people do not like Midsummer, and I love Midsummer, but I'm not a huge fan of Hereditary, and everybody loves her. So I love Hereditary. I'm not saying Hereditary is a bad movie. It's just I saw it one time, and I have no interest in seeing it again.
I just didn't know what the fuck was going on.
It's,
Like I was just
Hereditary.
yeah,
Hereditary had me completely confused. Yeah,
yeah,
I was confused and I was bored
yeah.
throughout the movie.
I was just
All right.
annoyed. It wasn't. I think horror films like have an obligation to be fun on a little
I
level.
agree.
They're like devious fun. And
Yes,
Hereditary was no
a
fun.
tiny bit, a tiny bit.
Yeah.
All right, next question. Fuck, marry, kill. Freddy, Jason, and Michael Myers. You got to marry one, you got to fuck one, you got to kill one. Who's going to be?
Oh, hold on. I gotta marry Freddy. Definitely.
Why is that?
Because I like a good, back and forth.
Okay.
I think I at least he'd be someone you could spar a little bit with. He's got a good little sense of humor.
He actually talks too. Yeah, he actually talks compared to.
I know, and he's kind of like there's like I don't know when this is so weird, but when I was younger, I think I thought he was sexy. I don't know. I was really a kid, okay? But now I'm like, oh, I was so terrified of him, and it's actually really funny when you watch Nightmare on Elm Street now, but it was really scary to me. I like the idea of someone coming in your dreams, though. I think there's something really sexy about that. And okay, fuck, marry, kill. I'd have to. I'd have to kill Jason. The mask is too like weird for me, and I couldn't get into it. He's too stiff. He's too stiff. And then Mike Myers, I would have to fuck. That would be. Is that good? What do people normally say? Do they kill Freddy and then fuck Jason?
No, but so it depends. So 50% of women, majority of them, they always kill Jason because they find him disgusting. Plus, he's a mama's boy, and apparently, women don't like mama's boy. You know
yes, yeah.
And so usually that's a turnoff for most women, and so it's a toss between it's 50-50 between effing Freddy or Jason. I mean Freddy or Mike Myers. So yeah, it's intertwined.
Well, Mike Myers would probably be good in bed. He would probably be good in bed because there's like
a lot of women say that they prefer a man who doesn't talk.
That's a good one. That's funny. That's funny.
Right. And the final question.
Okay.
Who is your favorite final girl of all time?
Oh gosh. I'm gonna take all the indie actresses out of it because I'd have to say Felissa because she's a really good friend of mine. So I'm gonna take her out of it. I'm giving a complicated, non-complicated answer. This is embarrassing because this makes me not seem cool at all, but I used to like Neve Campbell. To me, was when I was a teenager, she was like, I wanted to be her so bad. Like everything about her was so cool. And it was interesting because she's a final girl who like, I think like they actually made her story arc and she played her story arc pretty realistic, even though the Scream movies can be like completely, ludicrous. There is something about her journey that I think she played where you still liked her, you still empathized with her. She made, they wrote her to make smart decisions, but herself was an interesting, character. So I love her. And I mean, maybe this is out of the realm, but I mean, is Sarah Michelle Gellar from Buffy, is she a final girl?
She's not a final girl. She's a hero.
She can't be.
Yeah, she's a hero.
Yeah, I mean, so I would say I just have a thing for Neve Campbell. It's like a basic answer, but I really, I think she did something really cool. Okay, so speaking of final girls, Jennifer Love Hewitt is coming back on I Know What You Did Last Summer again, right? Ooh. Is this true?
I have not heard that. I hope not. I've never been a fan of that movie series.
Really? I mean, I don't know. I think it's nostalgia for me. Like, are they great horror films? Like they're more like popcorn horror. Like,
They're
you
like
know, I
Scream Light to
yeah,
me.
like I mean, I'm really into a lot of these A24 movies. I
Hmm.
like they're, but they're like sophisticated horror that's like different where I I kind of love like, the movie Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. That's like popcorn horror, like
Yeah.
completely sort of ridiculous. And I kind of like if I'm going to the movie theater, sometimes it's like a complete escape. It's silly. I get scared easily, so like those I get to have like a cheap jump laugh, but like
Mhm.
I'm not necessarily if I watch The Shining, like I am gonna have nightmares. I love it. It's a fucking great crafted movie. I'm not really having like nightmares from I know what you did last summer, but
Yeah.
it's fun. It's fun.
But what was sad about those movies was like, Scream came out. So I was born in the 80s, early 80s, and so I
Right.
grew up in that 90s area. So the Scream came out, and there was tons of knockoffs. Scream was so successful and so original, and all these knockoffs of Scream came out for like about 5 years. And I know what you did last summer was the first one. I mean, it was a direct knockoff of Scream, but it was. But what I didn't like about those movies were they were PG-13. Those were not even rated R movies. They were meant for like they were too kiddie for
Right.
me.
Right. Which, for me, I was probably, I think, I was religious. So, like, all the movies seemed even scarier because they were really taboo. And I
Hmm.
wasn't supposed to be watching them. So, I mean, like, Scream legitly was scary to me. Like, I mean, like, really scary. Like, even now, if I watch it, I'm like sweating. Not the new ones as much, but like, so yeah, I mean, you're right. Like it was like the year of like the real teen,
Yeah,
not that intense. Like I mean, you look at Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like that's a
yeah,
horror film.
hardcore.
And even when they tried to do the remake, it was kind of ridiculous because I'm like, you can't like gloss this up and think you have the same movie. These movies, like a lot of these movies in the 80s that weren't glossy, whereas I would say you're right, like Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, are glossy horror films. When you get into like the deep, dark ones, it's a different
It's
cinema experience.
it's
Yeah.
grainy, gritty, and dirty. And like as an 80s kid, I love the listen, I like some of the glossy, pretty horror movies that are out now. But I like a good old dirty, grainy, gritty looking horror movie that looks
Yeah.
like, somebody filmed it in their basement or something, Like I like I don't like my I don't prefer my horror movies to be crisp, clean, and pretty. I like them to be a little dirty looking.
Yeah, well, you're like perfect when people talk about like the first thing I think is like horror, like an AI horror film is never going to be scary. Like it's
Correct.
just to me, it's why I can't watch a cartoon and be scared. Some people can, but like it's not scary to me. Or something with a lot of CGI.
Hmm.
It pulls me out of it. I sort of, I mean, I'm twisted where I like a lot of times love to watch something where I start to think like, wow, that actress had to fuck with her brain to do that. Like there's certain things where you go, I mean, I think this is horror adjacent, but like the Penguin, if you watch that
I
series.
have not yet. It's on my
Oh,
watch list. I hear it's great.
dude, it's so good. And I know it's not a horror film, obviously a horror series, but there's some real elements in it. I mean, it's you got to see it. You'll know what I'm talking about. And the actress in it, who is terrified and insane, like I like to watch performances where like I'm like, wow, that person's in jeopardy. Like they probably needed therapy afterwards. Like there's something fun about that, and I think that's the one lure of like indie horror films is especially like you said, I have a friend, Anthony Leone, who does these like basement looking horror films that are really scary. Like
Hmm.
he legitly, when you watch it, and some of it is because it doesn't have huge production value. It's shot well, it's acted well, and
It
it's
looks
scary. I
real.
mean, Terrifier, the first Terrifier is, I mean, they're all scary, but the first one is scary on a mind blowing level because it's almost like a snuff film,
That's how
and
all three of them look. I mean,
I
even the
know,
other ones that had bigger budgets, they still had that grainy,
right?
dirty look to them. You know?
It's almost like porn adjacent
Yes.
because
Yes.
it's so gritty. The whole time you're watching it, you feel a little bit like I like you're it's finally a movie that you're doing something that you are not supposed to be doing. And
Exactly.
that's always fun. Like there's something fun about breaking the rules.
I agree. Sadie, this has been a fun interview. This has been a fun interview. Must
Yes,
say.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah.
having me on.
Now, where can everyone find you?
Um, Instagram's the best place. My name's Sadie Katz on Instagram. And then I'm on Facebook, but sometimes I can't, my friends list is full and then people think I'm like rejecting them, which I'm not. It's a mess. So Instagram's great. And I'm also on X under Sadie _ Katz. I'm not great at X or Twitter or whatever. So Instagram. And I like to follow people who are into horror on Instagram because they educate me. Since I don't always know what's going on, I can watch their stories, and it's fun.
And I saw recently you followed me, so I will be following you back too. And
Oh,
please
good.
also follow the Horror Realm on Instagram and Facebook, and we're not on X, but we're on TikTok though. But I never post anything on there. But I don't understand TikTok. I really don't.
No,
I have it, but I don't really use it. I guess what it's supposed to be for.
I think
Anyway,
it's from the devil. TikTok's from the devil.
I think it's
It's
for kids or like
it's very addictive and narcissistic in a different way. But
yeah,
people love
because
it.
but it's a bunch of tits and ass on there. Listen, tits and ass is fun with moderation, but Facebook is kind of being like that. I don't know if you notice that. It's just like the reels are nothing but naked women, and I'm okay with that, but not just like boom, boom, boom. I just feel like that's not good
Well,
for
you see,
anybody's
this
psyche.
is what's funny, Travis, is like, so I think the algorithms, because I have a 23-year-old son and he says he gets death videos all the time. And I'm
What?
like, I said, what the fuck are you doing that like your algorithm is death? My algorithm is not cool. It is mostly advertising like anti-aging. and like mom stuff. I get tons of mom influencers, and sometimes I'm like trying to find and clothes like fashion, fashion, fashion. So isn't it funny? Like your algorithm is giving you. I don't get naked chicks. I would
I'm
like
going to
more
show you.
naked chicks.
I'm going to show you, and I promise you, I'm not like watching. Well, I'm watching it sometimes because it's on my fucking screen. I'm like, what the fuck is this? But I'm going to show you like, hold on. Like, here's something else I get that's weird. I get like animal like videos where like animals are like attacking other animals and shit. Like, I don't know if you can see. Like, I'm not interested in seeing a lion eat a fucking elephant. Like, what? Why is
That's
that
your
even on?
that's your algorithm. Like this is so. Here's a really interesting. Here's a horror film, guys. Is everybody has a different algorithm, and what if your algorithm you get slated and like chose and they're trying to slowly manipulate your brain to become a killer or something? I don't know. Like, do you know what article I get constantly? I get all the articles about the guy that died in the cave, and I don't know if it's because I keep clicking on them. You know who I'm talking about, the guy who like
Oh
had
yes,
the worst
yes,
death imaginable.
yes.
Why do I get a new article on him every
I
day?
I don't know. I mean, literally. Like, here's another one. It's some tigers fighting a fucking lion. Why? I don't. I'm not interested in seeing animals kill other. But but this is what my thing is filled with constantly. It's half naked women with their breasts and their titties in, which I look, and I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I don't even look at these videos. I never even clicked on them. And cheerleaders dancing.
What? I don't get
And
anything like that. I don't get
it's like
anything like that.
it's like they think I'm a serial killer / fucking pervert. Which I mean, the pervert part, well, all men are perverts. So,
Right.
but like, I'm not. Listen, I'm not looking. You know what I was getting for the longest time on my Facebook? I don't know if you've seen this, but like, it's women breastfeeding. Like, women nowadays are actually videotaping themselves breastfeeding. Like you
For
see
clicks.
you see whole nipple, areola, everything, and and I think and no, it's 100. Listen, these dates are getting like millions of views, and you just see the comments. It's some of the creepiest things from men, like, "Oh, that thirsty baby. I'm
Oh
thirsty."
my God.
It is so fucking creepy, and like it's a thing. That's a question I was gonna ask you about, like, but I'll ask you another time. I was gonna ask you about like this the sex work thing is out of control. Like the OnlyFans and the breastfeeding shit, like it is out of control. Like I don't know what the fuck is going on.
I don't actually. I mean, I went from like doing nudity and films
Mhm.
for a purpose and like that being a big deal. One of the reasons I agreed to it was because no one was agreeing to it, and an acting coach was like, Sadie, you'll be able to get parts because you can really act. So that was like the thing. Now regular films, they are not like that anymore. Regular
Yeah,
films don't want that because they won't sell overseas. And then you have this whole like supposed feminist Gen Z um like culture of I don't I think it's actually men don't actually like it. I just think it's easy money for women. I don't know. I find it really odd because I guess I just don't like I'm past the period of knowing what's going on with that. And then when I find out like oh gosh, all over X or Twitter, I know I don't have to say Twitter anymore, but I
hmm
always do. Um the girl that like slept with 1,000 people and you know in in the UK, like she's in one day. And
it's
she looks like an influencer. She's a very attractive person. I think that's what's interesting is these, because you can get nice plastic surgery and nice clothes, you're
yeah.
just getting maybe like the same trashy women, but now they're making enough money because they're on their own that they're able to like look a certain way, but it's wild. I find it
It is crazy. I mean, because it's weird because it's kind of hypocritical because we're in this PC culture right now where women don't want to be objectified as sex objects, and like you were saying, like Entertainment Weekly did this whole thing about there's no nudity, there's no women nudity in movies in big stream movies anymore because they don't want to objectify women, right? So there's no sex scenes ending. You can only see that in indie movies now.
yeah.
But OnlyFans, Instagram, half naked, just something that is okay and is promoted. I don't understand the concept behind it because it's literally the same thing to me.
Well, I think that's the snap. That's like the when you make something taboo or like off, all of a sudden it's become this thing. I think where people want to see it. I guess I don't. I guess it's so accessible, but I mean, I actually feel bad for like, a lot of the men because there's a lot of men that are like preferring these kind of relationships online to real relationships. And, you know, um, it's, it's a weird thing. I don't really feel
Weird.
bad for the women. I think the women, you raised a whole generation of girls who love to look at themselves.
Yeah.
Like that's what they want. They want to be sexualized. They want to be admired, and like then they're being rewarded financially. So I think a lot of those women that get into it just are not super bright. so they're able to accept that that's their life and they can go shopping. There's other women who have like who are really savvy about it and are like getting through college. I'm not talking about them, but a lot of these like influencer only fan types who are doing crazy things. I just think their brains are so simple about it. They live in like a commodity culture. So when I have had friends that were OnlyFans girls or porn stars, and when you really talk to them, they don't. Everyone's like, oh well, one day they're gonna feel really bad and regret. And I'm like, I don't know if they're wired to feel anything other
I
than
don't.
like
Yeah.
Starbucks, and they're just a certain type of girl.
Superficial. Yeah, superficial stuff. I don't think they think about the future at all. I really don't. I think they're just locked into the moment.
Yeah, in their future, like I guess there's the whole argument of like their future is if they aren't wise with their money, they're like, well, I made $5 million. The problem is not a lot of these girls who do
No,
OnlyFans make that much money. Those
no.
girls I worry about.
I've
And
talked to several that make like $20 a month, and I'm like, wow, you're showing your ass on like. But that's the average woman on OnlyFans. If you
I
Google the
know.
average woman on OnlyFans is not making. It's almost like stripping, right? A lot of women I would hear say they got a 9 to 5 job and they're like, I need some more money. I need to hop on a pole. The average stripper does not make that much money. There's only
Yeah.
10% of strippers that are making 6 figures. 10% in the whole entire country,
Right.
and it might even be a lower percent. But that also goes with OnlyFans. There's only like 10% of OnlyFans models who are making 6 figures or more.
Yeah.
Majority of them are making $100 or less a month, and you don't expose your whole entire body and suck on dildos for the whole world to see.
I agree with you. I mean, if you go to a strip club and someone's like crawling on the floor for a crumpled dollar bill, you're like,
Yeah,
it's not working for you. Like this is not
yeah,
a great career path. Even if you love it, it's just
yeah.
maybe this isn't great. Maybe you feel different if someone's like, wow, I made $20,000 and I love to dance, in the
Mhm.
night. You go, well, I guess it's work. I don't know. It's funny, and it's sort of it. It's because there's a lot of people because of TikTok that really want it. There's so many people that want to be famous, but they
Mhm.
don't really care about having a talent with that. Like
Yeah,
I never wanted to be. I never thought, oh, I have to be famous. I want to like not be able to go grocery shopping. I want people to, be obsessed with me. I more just was like, I love acting so much. Like I love it so much, and I would love to travel. And if people knew me and I got better parts, that would be cool. The idea of chasing fame, it's not a good one. I think it's rooted in just like if you're only chasing sex and you're not chasing love, if you're only chasing money and you're not chasing experiences, it's like there's there's no soul and you have bad karma, bad people around you. And they're in their own horror film. Like
yeah,
they're living their horror existence.
I agree.
But it's so crazy.
It is.
I can
I,
talk to you forever, Travis. We've
I
got
really
we've
could.
got lots of things to discuss.
Listen, I'm gonna have you back on.
Please.
You're more than welcome to come back on, and we're gonna shoot the shit.
Uh, Anytime you let me know.
I definitely will. All right,
Okay.
everyone. Well, thank you for coming to the harbor. But I would say, hang tight so you can see the trailer to Texas Nightmare. I'm Travis Bruce, and that's Sadie Katz. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Ms. Dubois, it is my hope that your travels from Washington, D.C. have been joyous and that you will relish your stay in my peaceful property.
Yeah, it'd be her. Writer. Famous.
Hi. I just wanted to welcome you to the area. I live right across the woods.
I'm not living here. I'm just staying here. Mr. Tebbis,
Welcome to my home.
what do you know about the owner?
The owner?
I was under the impression that I rented this cabin for privacy.
Ah, yes.
Any idea how you ended up passed out on the porch?
I understand that the last time we came over, you said everything was fine.
I'm not going to let you gaslight me into thinking I'm crazy.
gotta get out of here.
Your life is in danger.
Oh, you'd be surprised by what goes on, yes.
You gotta go, please. Please get out. Get out, get out. Get out.